very good day to our fellow viewers. I'm Jasper, the moderator of this forum. We have two panelists here. I'm Hafiz from the Department for Business, Energy and Industrial Strategies, and Diveshvar from Shell, Project and Technology Director. The topic of our discussion today will be about the plans to ban the sale of new petrol and diesel cars by 2040. There's been a lot of opinions and thoughts whether this plan should be implemented by the government. So with that being said, may I ask Mr. Ayman Hafiz, what is the actual plan that the government has decided to implement?
Thank you, Mr. Jasper, Mr. Debes. Okay, first of all, very good day I bid to our audience. And now I would like to brief about the plans that the government decided on what we are going to do. Okay, we plan to ban all sales of new petrol and diesel cars by 2040, which means that in this plan, we decided to ban all the sales and purchase of new petrol and diesel cars, which means that new, if the cars being bought before the deadline, so the car still can be used, but after the deadline, there's no more any sale and purchase of petrol and diesel cars. Okay, petrol and diesel cars means that the cars use 100% of petrol or diesel. It's not including the hybrid cars. It's not also including the natural gas car or the hydrogen powered car. And also, this plan include the vans, but doesn't include motorcycles or trucks. So motorcycles and trucks and buses and other things still can use the petrol and diesels. Just vans and cars need to, after the deadline, cars and vans that consume petrol or diesel can't be purchased anymore. Okay, in order to promote this usage, we are planning to give government grant for the drivers to buy the fully electric cars, which is we are giving for the driver up to 8,000 pounds sterling to buy new car. So this grant is actually based on the type of car that the driver choose to buy. Let's say that the car have less carbon emission or no carbon emission, so that the car will get the highest grant from the government, which is up to 8,000 pounds sterling. Which in the vice versa, if the cars have a lot of emission of carbon, so it means that the car will get little amount of grant from the government. This is to promote the use of alternative fuel vehicle, which most recommended to buy electric vehicle. Why we want to do this plan? Because the main problem is the poor air quality, which also the biggest environmental risk to public health in UK. This problem have give the impacts towards 4,000 of premature deaths a year, heart diseases, and also other disease such as dementia. In fact, that car makers nowadays are used to found that they cheat during the emission test, which means that during the test the car perform very good, but after the test, because of the cost, they want to reduce the cost of making the car, so the performance is not as good as during the test. So one way to solve this problem is by this plan. And another thing also, the main thing we can see this plan is to help to reduce the global warming, which is one of the crucial problems that we are facing nowadays. So that's brief about it. Going back to Mr. Jasper. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ayman Hafiz, for your opinion. As mentioned earlier, this ban will bring a lot of benefits to our society and environment. But what are the difficulties that will be encountered to apply this ban? Mr. Diveshvar, can you please state your opinions?
Thank you, Mr. Jasper. A very good day to all. There will be a few difficulties that we will encounter. First problem is this process to ban the sale of petrol, new diesel and petrol cars by 2040 will eventually take a long period of time. It is not easy for a country to adapt to this kind of change in a short time period. It will most probably take approximately 60 years to adapt to it. The second problem that people might face is financial problems in purchasing the electrical powered vehicles that are theoretically quite expensive compared to petrol or diesel powered cars. Nowadays, electric powered cars are really expensive and do not meet the budget of average citizens in our country. Therefore, due to this outcast, people tend to buy petrol or diesel powered vehicles compared to purchasing electric powered cars.
Excuse me, Mr. Devesh.
Yes.
Actually, one of your point is very interesting for me. You said about the cost price of the electric car, electric vehicle is much more expensive compared to the conventional petrol and diesel cars.
True.
Yeah, in government point of view, we take this thing very serious. That's why we are giving the grant from the government to the drivers so that they are able to afford that electric cars, which is more economically friendly, with about to be the normal price as the conventional petrol and diesel cars. And we know that the cheapest EV can be get around 17,000 pounds sterling. So if we are giving up to 8,000 pounds sterling, this is how we want to promote it to use the EV. This is how we want to reduce the burden for the society. So that's the first step that the government will take to improvise these things.
That is a good point from Mr. Hafiz. But however, may I have more clarifications regarding this point from Mr. Diveshwar?
Sure, Mr. Jasper. Basically, the parts take to build or manufacture engines of electric or other parts of electric powered vehicles are expensive compared to petrol and diesel vehicles. For example, the cost product to create an engine for electric powered vehicles is a few £100 and compared to petrol and diesel powered vehicle engines. This means that each vehicle unit has approximately £1,000 of difference in worth to be built. Just estimate that a car factory manufactures thousands of vehicles per day. This brings a very big loss in terms of finance. Furthermore, electric powered vehicles has more parts to be built compared to petrol and diesel powered vehicles.
Thank you, Mr. Diveshwar, for your clarifications. So now we can see that there are a lot of obstacles that we need to overcome to apply this ban. So, in your government point of view, Mr. Aiman Hafiz, do you still believe that this ban will still work out well? May I have more clarifications regarding this point?
Again, thank you, Mr. Jasper, Mr. Devesh. Okay, first of all, regarding to the first problem that stated by the Mr. Devesh about the if you want to do this thing, we need to take a long period, which is approximately around 60 years, right? But in our point of view, in the government point of view, in our strategic planning, we see that this plan is able to be worked because one of the first and main reason is that nowadays we already have over 80 different alternatively fueled vehicles, which means that those kind of vehicles are not just depending on petrol and diesel for 100%. As I mentioned about the plans, if the car is hybrid, which means it doesn't consume 100% of petrol and diesel, the car still can be used. So this kind of cars already have nowadays. The thing is just we want to promote the drivers to use this kind of cars to help to improvise the air, to reduce the air pollution. So another thing that report showed by the BBC prove that the cars that use diesel and the cars that use petrol have a very vast difference of pollutants emission. But then, if we look that even though the car that use petrol, just the emission of pollutants is 8 to 10 times lower than the car that use diesel, but the amount of vehicles that use petrol is a lot on the road daily. And we know that day by day there's a lot of new registered cars on the road. This is where we take these things very serious and we need to overcome this problem before it's before it is become more harmful towards the surrounding. And that's actually a report by the United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change has warned that rapid, far-reaching and unprecedented changes in all aspects of society are needed to keep global temperature from rising more than 1.5 degrees Celsius. And one of the recommendations from the report is that the report urged us to switch to electric vehicles (EV) to reduce the carbon emission. So that's why we take a look this thing so serious and we want to improvise this thing, because this is the first step to change. If you don't take the first step, there will be no changes at all. So we need to start it first. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the clarification, Mr. Aiman Hafiz. As mentioned earlier, one of the main reasons for the ban is to reduce carbon emissions from cars. However, is there any alternative ways to reduce carbon emissions from vehicles besides the ban?
Thank you, Ms. Jesper. Okay, this is quite interesting. Okay, let me tell you that actually, other than this, government also plans a lot of other ways to help to improve our air quality by reducing the amount of carbon emission. For example, we are keep improve the public transports, mostly on the trains and trams. Nowadays, most of the trains are using the electric, so they are all eco-friendly and zero carbon emission, which is very good. But we are looking to improvise a new thing, which is we are going to change the taxis into the electric cars, which will become very efficient and very good for the surrounding the air. And another thing that for the bus, we want to use the ultra low emission, which just with the amount of emission of carbon is very less compared to the conventional bus. So this is one of the first step that we want to plan in our long-term strategy. But the thing is, we still need to do this thing because the amount of the public vehicle compared to the amount of private vehicle, the amount of public vehicle is very less compared to the amount of private vehicle nowadays. That's why we need to take step to enforce this thing to the every private vehicle to give a better good impacts towards the surroundings. Thank you.
Yes, I do agree with what Mr. Hafiz said. On the other hand, our company could play an important role by introducing campaigns around UK entitled Make the World Greener Again. In this campaign, we will deliver important facts about how much is our environment important to us, to the people in this country, so that they would take extra initiative in reducing the usage of petrol or diesel powered vehicles in their daily lives. Another alternative is our company could also organize cycling campaigns around the city annually. This will help to raise awareness about the importance of our environment, and also people will have a healthier lifestyle. So basically, we are hitting two birds with one stone here.
Thank you both, Mr. Aiman Hafiz and Mr. Diveshwar, for your opinions regarding this topic. So now we'll take a short break and we'll return with our Q&A session. Viewers may call us via our hotline for any enquiries. Thank you. Welcome back to our forum, and here we are now in the Q&A session. And here we have our very first caller.
Hello, I would like to ask Mr. Diveshwar regarding the future of Shell. What will happen to your company when this ban is implemented?
Yes, of course. If the ban is implemented, our company will progress into a new era, which is electric right now. Around 60 years ago, till now, petrol is the main source this world relies on, and the future of this world is heading towards electricity. Therefore, our company will move on and start progressing by using the source of electric. Actually, we are already having plans to introduce electric chargers in UK petrol stations, and there are electric charging station maps to help avoid so-called range anxieties since we have heard the implementation of the ban. This is the beginning of Shell's new era if sales of petrol and diesel cars are banned in the near future.
So thank you, Mr. Diveshwar, for answering our caller's inquiry. Oh look, we have another caller coming in. Hello? Hello? I guess the call couldn't be reached. Let's proceed to our next caller.
Hello? Hello? Yeah. Okay, so I would like to ask Mr. Aiman Hafiz, as we all know that the electric car takes about 8 hours to be fully charged, and when the number of electric cars rise, the number of charging ports should also be increased. So how would the government, overcome this problem?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Andrew, the caller one. Okay, for your questions about the charging electric cars. Okay, first of all, nowadays we have the lot of place where we can charge the EV, and all these places you can found via the zapmap.com, zap-map.com. So this zapmap helped us to find which one is the nearest one to charge our EV, and actually there's a lot of EV charging port currently in UK. And for your information, the new location are being added daily, so we can expect there's a lot of EV charging port in UK by the 2040. And then for your information, actually in one of our long-term planning, there's an idea to change the battery of the car instead of to charge the battery. Yeah, we do consider that 8 hours of charging is a long time. So we think that how we can improve and solve this problem is by changing the battery instead of charge the battery for long hours. So for example, when the car go to the port, something like nowadays the petrol station, but the thing is for the time they will just change the battery, take out the battery for the car and change with the new fully charged battery. So this will take less time consuming for the car to have fully charged battery. So this will be a better idea, and we are going to develop this with our partners soon because we think this is a very good idea. So this is how we are going to tackle those problems that might be faced during the times we want to implement this plan.
So the battery is basically a removable battery.
Yeah. Instead of fixed battery that need to charge, it's better to have a removable battery that we can just change the battery, so less time consuming and more efficiency.
Excuse me, sir. Is the battery kind of affordable?
Okay, actually, that battery is like, we know that nowadays if we want to have the natural gas, we need to pay a deposit for that kind of things. So that kind of deposit will need to be paid by the driver for one car for a certain amount, which is not that expensive. It's just a deposit. So after that, when go into the charging, it's not charging port, it's the changing battery port. So it's just take out the battery and put the new one, which the price of the battery should be included with the car. Which means that the brand new car already have that kind of battery, and they need to pay like the deposit for the to change the battery. If the battery got broken because of the driver, then the deposit is burned. But because it's not of the driver, the driver still can get back the deposit. This is just to make sure that the driver is not misuse the battery and the service provided to make the life easier. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much.
That is a really fair way. Okay, so thank you both, Mr. Aiman Hafiz and Mr. Diveshwar, our panelists, for answering our viewers' questions. Both of you are really well versed on this topic. That will be the end of this forum. Thank you guys so much for watching.